Let's now dive into our feature story of the day. Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital, is predicting a $400,000 Bitcoin price. Here's the latest from the Mooch himself. Headline reads here, hedge fund veteran Anthony Scaramucci says Bitcoin will skyrocket to 170,000 per coin after the halving. Here's why, along with his long-term forecast. Skybridge Capital founder, the Mooch, believes the Bitcoin could witness a conservative rally of over 300% in the coming months. Keyword, conservative. That's not the bull rally. That's his conservative prediction of a rally. Just FYI. In the interview with crypto influencer Scott Melker, the Wolf of Wall Street, the hedge fund veteran says it would not be out of the ordinary for Bitcoin to skyrocket to 170,000 per coin after its upcoming halving in April, set to take place in 80 days on April 18th. Let's go. When the miner rewards get cut in half. And according to the Mooch, data shows the Bitcoin tends to print a cycle top that's 4 times higher than the halving price, as he shares here. You mentioned my $170,000 prediction. That's a data-dependent prediction. Go back and look at the Bitcoin halving cycles. The day that Bitcoin halves, multiply it by 4, 18 months later, and it's been uncanny. That's been the price of Bitcoin. And I am using a 35,000 number at the halving, and that's conservative. So he believes Bitcoin will be trading at 35,000 around the time of the halving on that conservative prediction, FYI. Let's say we're at 50,000 April by the time of the halving, then it's a $200,000 handle. But let's say we're at 60,000 by the time of the halving, then it'll send Bitcoin to 240,000. So my question for each and every one of you in the chat or watching the replay at a later time, where do you feel the Bitcoin price will likely be at the time of the Bitcoin halving, scheduled to take place right now in April 18th, 80 days out? Let me know, fam. Now, Scaramucci also predicts that in the long term, the Bitcoin price will hover close to $500,000. 500,000? Send it. Quitting him here. But my long-term price target is that Bitcoin gets to easily half of the market cap of gold. Gold right now is 14.5 trillion market cap. So if Bitcoin goes to 7 or 8 trillion, that's a 10x. From here, it's a $400,000 Bitcoin. And I think it would be ridiculous for people not to understand the asset, not to understand the dynamics of it as a store of value, and not to have a position. If you agree with that sentiment, let me know. And what are your thoughts surrounding Bitcoin 10xing or conquering half the market cap of gold? I personally think that's conservative. I think Bitcoin will tap the entire market cap of gold because it doesn't make sense to hold the precious metal when you have the apex predator. And I virtually feel that all these assets are going to trend towards zero against Bitcoin because it's superior. It's the superior form of asset, Laura. So hence why it's going up forever. And to watch the video Scaramucci did with Scott Melker, check the show notes below the video in the description. And also want to discuss real quick the stock to flow model. The stock to flow shows Bitcoin hovering between 100,000 per coin and $1 million per coin post 2024 halving, and by the time of the next halving in 2028. Now, granted, that's a pretty wide gap, but it just goes to show you the potential of what's truly possible for the King Crypto. Anything can happen. You can't put a ceiling on the Bitcoin price because there's no bottom to the fiat crap they continue to print. You know what I mean? They're going to continue to print money until the wheels fall off, until they devalue the dollar at such a high level that they have to launch a central bank digital currency known as the CBDC. We all know it's going through the pipeline. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump says, if I'm elected president, I'll make sure they don't create a CBDC. It's already created. It's been planned over 10 years ago. It's a coming. There's nothing anyone can do to stop that, including any president from any nation. The CBDCs are here. The pilots have already rolled out. They're a coming, and they're going to replace U.S. fiat dollars and turn us into a paperless society, hence central bank digital currency. But what's the doomsday surrounding CBDCs? They're going to enslave humanity through it, the same way they enslave humanity through the dollar, but on a more extreme level. How? Programmable money. What can go wrong? You have a programmable digital dollar that can be set with an expiration date. They can limit what you can buy. It's going to be tied to your social credit scores. And I'm not even going to get any deeper into that because we're on YouTube and it's heavily censored. But you know what's coming down the pipeline, family. So Bitcoin is the antidote to the CBDCs. If you don't hold any Bitcoin, you will be enslaved with the rest of the population. Very unfortunately, but this is their plan. They may also seize all the Bitcoin ETF BTC. Maybe they'll accumulate millions of the Bitcoin, and then boom, the government has it in their possession. And that was maybe the play from day one. You can't underestimate your enemy. And clearly, the enemies, the dark forces out there, are not going to go out without a fight. What I shared earlier, a Max Kaiser quote, I want to repeat it. Here we go. Max said, I shared this earlier, after hearing about Bitcoin for the first time in 2011 at $2.30, I instantly predicted the current fight Bitcoiners are having with governments around the world and Jamie Dimon, and immediately knew we were going to win. So don't think they're just going to bow down and accept, because Bitcoin decapitates the head from the central banking cartels that control the world. You guys know this, hence why you're Bitcoiners. Nobody can stop Bitcoin, and that's a beautiful thing. So the next best thing they can do is control the on-ramps and the off-ramps. They can control the ETFs, the regulations, and that's as far as they can control. The one thing they can't control, self-custody. They can try to make it illegal. That's what you have with witches such as Senator what's her name, Warren, and the rest of these mofos, you know what I mean, who are enemies of Bitcoin, because they work for enemies of Bitcoin and they sold their soul a very long time ago. Bitcoin has lots of enemies, so don't get it twisted. Jamie Dimon's an enemy. JP Morgan Chase is an enemy. Merrill Lynch is an enemy. You know what I mean? Bank of America is an enemy. Binance, Janet Yellen is an enemy. Christine Lagarde is an enemy. You know what I mean? Many enemies. So don't underestimate your enemies, fam.